Hi, this is Anthony P. Ferrante, director of the Sharknado quadrilogy, including Sharknado: The Fourth Awakens, airing sci-fi on Sunday night. And you're listening to Without Your Head.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil, and I'm joined by Marko Makilaakso.
Very well said. Thank you.
Cool. Director of the upcoming It Came from the Desert. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I have to once more say, you said the last name correct, and there's rarely that happens, that people get the last name correct. So you pronounced it perfectly.
Excellent.
So thank you for that.
Excellent. I do. Well, no, you're from Finland. I don't know if I have any Finnish blood, but I will admit I looked you up on YouTube, and I saw you saying the name. So.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah. Some people probably don't take that extra mile to prepare. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate you mentioning that I said it right. But we're not here just to talk about the pronunciation of your last name.
Damn it.
Which I'm sure most people tuned in just for that. But It Came from the Desert. Now, is this based on the old video game?
This is, I would say, more inspired by the old video game. Mm-hmm. So it's basically an independent sequel for the games. It Came from Desert Games. So what happened was that, this project started first as just an idea from my side to the producers, saying that let's make, dirt bike, desert, giant ants type of a film inspired by Eight-Legged Freaks. But I wanted to call it Came from the Desert. And because I love the game so much as a kid. And the producers didn't know the game, and we contacted the Cinemaware, the game company, and to our surprise, they not only gave the permission to use the title, but they also said, "Well, hey, why don't you just make the goddamn adaptation of a movie, the game, into a movie?" So then that's basically which changed everything, but we actually liked the story what we had, so with them we decided that we will make it into like a sequel, live action sequel. Of the games. So That's how it came about.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, though. You said, they were into the idea and let you run with it.
Yeah. They were very supportive. And immediately they started developing a game based on the movie.
Oh, nice.
So I truly hope that, will happen. I mean, they're still working on it. So last time I've heard. So I truly hope it happens.
Yeah. That's like full circle. It's the game based off the movie inspired by the game.
Yeah, exactly.
It Came from the Desert, the game, the movie, the game.
The movie, the game movie.
Exactly.
The sequel.
So what was it? What is it about giant ants that interests you?
Well, I'm a creature feature fan, and that's the bottom line of it, and that's why. I've watched creature feature films since a kid, and I really liked Eight-Legged Freaks. I really liked the desert stuff with the, there was just a short thing with the motorbikes and stuff, and I really loved that. I thought, wow, that's a movie itself, and that's where it basically came. And then of course the game itself, when I played it as a kid. And nobody had really, like them and so on. There wasn't many ant films made, and still aren't. Maybe it happens that soon we have more ants movie, but still, nothing is, I think, more cooler than having actually ants now, because we've seen the sharks and the spiders and shit and everything. So I think I wanted to bring to these ants more, I would say, Gremlins type of a nasty humor. And so they're fun to watch, I would say. Not just CGI creatures running around and trying to kill people, but they do that too.
Yes, of course. So when you mentioned Gremlins humor, fun, do the ants themselves have personality?
Yeah. We bring those up. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say that they would be like in Gremlins, the stripes and all that kind of stuff. But Yeah, they do. They talk. They, with each other. They have issues like everybody else. and yeah, we do, and they do like alcohol, and so we do bring all that fun up. But of course, the main focus is in our leading characters.
Yeah. And ants are incredibly strong. They can lift I don't know what it is, 10 times their body weight or something. So if, that's a little tiny one. So if you had a giant one, they could do a lot of damage.
They can do a lot of damage, and they are doing a lot of damage in this movie as well. So there's a lot of fun stuff in it.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you liked creature features. What were some of your favorites? And what era? Like you mentioned Eight-Legged Freaks, you also mentioned them. So one's fairly new, one's a classic movie.
Yeah, but I basically grew up with these kind of Joe Dante's Piranha. Of course, I have to put Jaws there.
Yeah.
And Alligator, and Howlings and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it kind of like that is the my era, the 80s mostly. But then, of course, I was a sucker for all kinds of Roger Corman drive-in films, and I never had to, because I had a lot of friends who had the problem with the cheesiness of them, and I never had the problem. I just thought they were fun, in a good way, funny.
I'm right with you.
And that's what I like, and that's why I think Piranha for me was, like game changer in a way, because it was funny. It was just making fun of the actual thing what we were watching. So that was for me very fun, and that's why I always appreciated John Landis and Joe Dante's work. Because they have this kind of certain satire thing to them. They don't. I mean, even though you do take them seriously, but you don't. And I like that. I like that kind of game.
Yeah. Now, I don't know because I'm from America. In Finland, were those movies readily available? Were they on TV, or did you have to rent them, or how would you go about seeing American creature movies?
VHS, good old VHS. Nice. That's how. I mean, of course they were in theaters, but when I was a kid and teenager, I couldn't get in. I mean, Gremlins 2, I did, yes, but Gremlins for the first one, no, that was a VHS. That was the thing. And of course, when I was growing up, we didn't have a VHS player. We just bought our first TV, and I went to my friend's place who actually had a VHS player, and we were watching Mad Max and all kind of things which I wasn't even allowed to watch, and it just blew my mind away. And all kind of Cujo and Halloween and I mean everything from Carpenter to Levi Steag's things and everything. I mean. It was just, of course, because it was something I wasn't allowed to watch. That attracted, of course, even more to watch it. And then I could go to somewhere else and secretly watch that cool stuff. That was it was just fun. It was so much fun. And then, of course, later on, I had a massive VHS collection, and of course, went to movies every day and just watched movies and was just dying to watch the next movie. Fuck school. I'm sorry, the F-bomb. But still, I just went, I just wanted to make movies. Yeah. That was my entire life. Well, still is.
So when you're watching all those movies, and you said you weren't allowed to see, because they're R-rated or whatever, were your parents okay with you watching these?
No, they weren't. They didn't know for a while. But they started realizing that, something's up. This guy is behaving weirdly. So yeah. It took a while, and then they kind of. My dad realized that he actually has to more or less, start showing me stuff. And he did. Raiders of the Lost Ark. I wasn't allowed to see the scene where the guy gets his head chopped off with a propeller, which we don't really see except blood, right. But I wasn't allowed to watch that scene, I remember, and I tried my best to see it, and then I was super fascinated by it, and my dad saw that I was living and breathing movies, so he basically realized that maybe it's not just maybe it's not a bad thing at all to support it. And then he did, and he started talking to me about it, And whatever I was, 8, 9, and he, I asked him what does director do, and he explained me, and boom, I knew for the rest of my life that I would be doing that job if I ever can.
Mm-hmm. So in Finland, is that are there film schools in Finland? Is it an easy thing to pursue?
No, not. I mean, nowadays there are more options, but back then, no. I mean, there was only 1 or 2, and literally you can't get in if you're a moron like me. So it was. I mean, I couldn't get in anywhere. I couldn't do anything. So I basically started working when I was 16. I started making short films before that, and then won some awards, and then went to work on a production company and production assistant, and then going from there to camera assistant and blah blah blah. A lot of commercials and a lot of stuff, and then one guy who is who actually directed a Hammer movie, the Hilary Swank Resident, a film called Antti Jokinen. He saw something in me, and so that this guy talks a lot and also pursues a lot and has some sort of vision, I guess. So he supported me and let me do. He had a movie production company, and he let me kind of do my own shorts and all kind of stuff, and gave me all kind of making of things to do and blah blah blah. And then there I was, still dreaming about making movies. And in Finland, that is not something the government supports. Nowadays, it's been changing because there's a lot of Nordic genre films coming out and getting very successful outside their own region. So it's a kind of game changer nowadays. Mm-hmm. Even there's this system called Finnish Film Foundation, which supports films annually every year, and getting a financing for genre movie was unheard of. And nowadays we got even support for It Came from Desert. So some change there has definitely been, and good so. But back then when I started, no, I had to go elsewhere. I had to, I went elsewhere.
Now, is your father still alive? Did he get to see you actually make the movies?
Yeah, he's still thinking like I saw. You still want to do this? When are you gonna make your drama so you can get some respect?
All right, fair enough. Well,
I mean, yeah. I'm sure he's. I hope he's happy. Finns are very, low key kind of people. They don't really. When it comes to emotions and stuff like that, they're very.
Oh, I see.
So you don't hear too much of those. Unless they're drunk.
So, where did you film It Came from the Desert?
That movie was shot in Spain, in Almeria, and then in Finland. So we shot it in Spain in the same locations, actually, where Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and Conan Barbarian, and some scenes in Games of Thrones and so on were shot. And man, that for some people, when they look, just desert and they see sand and rocks, and it looks cool. But for me, it was like going to when I was a kid, going to a rental store and seeing all these movies. That's exactly how it looked like. Oh my God, they shot this. That's the cliff where the tank goes down. Oh my shit, this is where the Clint Eastwood stand and da 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 da. So it was really for me a dream come true. And I shot I did an homage to Indiana Jones, the tank fall thing. That something will fall in that same place. I'll say.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you since you mentioned it was a place where they filmed so many. Did you try to use some of those exact locations?
Yeah. We used literally exactly same locations.
That's pretty awesome.
And I don't know, in America he wasn't Terrence Hill, Bud Spencer. These were the kind of guys who did these kind of westerns in there a lot. And I think they got some sort of following in America as well. I mean, Bud Spencer is already dead, but Terrence Hill was there shooting his new movie, and that was for me as well. He's kind of like, holy shit, I've been watching this kid. I mean, as a kid, I've been watching his movies, his westerns. I mean, we did one with Sergio Leone, and My Name is Nobody, and holy crap, and here he's making a movie exactly next to my movie. Now that is cool.
Did you get to meet him at all?
I saw him. I didn't meet him. He was but I saw him. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, It Came from the Desert? Is it all English speaking characters in the movie?
Yeah. It is. It is all English speaking, and the story takes place in New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So not in the Lizard Breath as the original game, but this is you'll see when you see the movie where the story goes to. But we have all American cast and some British actors, yes, but still supposed to be Americans.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything hard about filming in the desert?
It's very hot. Holy crap, it's hot. Especially, I mean, we were shooting there not in midsummer or something. We were there actually, what it was October, November, and it was hot as hell. And then the nights were super cold. So when I went early on with the casting, the crew, when it was still dark and it was freezing cold, and then the sun comes out and man, it's super hot. That was very challenging, of course, but otherwise, no. I mean, it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. So when you're casting the movie, what kind of characters were you looking for to fit the movie you're making? Well,
for the main characters, I a little bit wanted to have this kind of Bill and Ted type of thing, but not as over the top, but still there's similar vibe, I would say, a bit. So I was looking for that type of two leads who would work very well together and are kind of funny in their own way and rights. And I think considering everything, and of course it's a low budget movie, and we had a casting in UK. I found very good actors for that. I think I gave them a very hard task to do, which is actually be funny, and they were not comedians in any way. So it turned out to be very, very, I'm very happy with it. I mean, we'll see. You'll see when you see the movie if it's funny or not. But I think it's funny.
Now, is the movie finished filming?
I mean, we're in post-production, 2 more months to go. We're still finishing CGI. We have lots of that. And then we have sound and music, which is ongoing at the moment. So mixing next month, and then grading in beginning of August, and there we go. We have a movie.
So how much involved are you on the special effects, on the CG?
Every single day. I'm directing the animators. Mm-hmm. And of course, then we have a lot of CGI work, from different departments from all over the world, from America, from Canada, from Croatian and stuff like that. So I basically direct them, the animators and everything, the style and how everything is, and then they go and do it.
Have you ever worked with that before?
CGI? Yeah, I've done. Not as much as now in this movie, but I did a sci-fi original movie, and you know how those are.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like their own genre today, I think, are sci-fi movies.
It is. They definitely are. They remind me of modern Roger Corman films in the sense that these drive-in films, because they are exactly modern. This kind of low budget, lean and mean. And they know what they are. They're not trying to pretend to be anything else.
Right.
So that's I actually appreciate that. And when I directed my sci-fi original movie, it was colleagues and some friends were saying, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You're making a sci-fi film? Are you crazy?" And I said. I said no. I wanna. It's something fun for me to do, and it came in a perfect timing for me. And after my first movie, and so on. So yeah, I was very happy to do it.
Mm-hmm. Which movie is it?
It's called, in America it was Abominable Snowman. In Europe, I think it was Deadly Descent, and in some other territories. Mm-hmm. But it was basically this kind of Adrian Paul, this from Highlander, was starring in it with Chuck Campbell from Stargate and other actors. So it was a fun, snowman Yeti shoot.
Yeah.
And we shot it in Bulgaria, and I had a great time. It was a good thing to do.
Yeah. No, I'll have to check that one out. Now, your first movie is War of the Dead.
Yeah.
So how did it come? You always want to make movies, and you're pursuing it.
Yeah.
When you finally get to make your first movie, what was that experience like? And were there any things you didn't expect? I assume there would be. Was it easier or harder than you expected to make your first feature?
I mean, it was my film school, to put it this way. I mean, before that, I've done a lot of music videos and commercials and documentaries and stuff like that. And then I was super. Let's put it this way: I was super ready to make a movie, and shooting of it and all that was absolutely just like it was this dream come true. I was just living the dream, basically. But the production itself had a lot of issues. The main financier was, things were going bad, and the financing ran out, and we had to basically, once we edited the movie and we started with the CGI and all that stuff, and then we basically had to stop and put it on shelf for 3-4 years, and then once again we had the financing in place, and then we had to finish the movie fast, like the post-production. Mm-hmm. So it was very hard, because in one moment you were making your movie and all was wonderful and it was dream come true, and I was actually shooting the movie in a studio system. I was shooting it in Lithuania, in Lithuanian film studios, and at the same time Daniel Craig was shooting Defiance there with Edward Zwick directing, and there was a bunch of other productions. And it was just like, holy shit, I'm here, and Daniel Craig is walking on my set, da 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 da. It was just, it was just overwhelmingly cool. And because it was the studio's own movie, and they had all the departments in house, I got the access to everything basically. So the the production designs, the costumes, and everything was top notch, and the workers who the crew who worked for me was great, and we had a lot of people working on that movie. But then, then of course when things are going too good, somebody has to hit you in the face, and that was the realizing that the movie is not going to be ready anytime soon, and that was devastating. That was really devastating. I was heartbroken, but I still kind of never gave up on that, and I was developing in between some other projects, and they didn't really take off, and so on. So finally, we finished the movie. There came two producers, Joel Soisson, who has done Feast, and Bill and Ted, produced Bill and Ted: Excellent Adventure, and so on. And we finished the movie in LA, and I was happy again.
So as It Came from the Desert been a smoother movie to make?
Yes and no. I mean, there's been because here's the thing about it, that I've been like War of the Dead. It's like it's my story. Basically, it's my script, and like War of the Dead I've been there raising the financing and doing it from the very beginning. And it's been now 2 years before It Came from a Desert like that. So it's not just that you got everything financing in place and you just go and make your movie the normal way, but you're from the very beginning all the way to the end. So yeah, there's been a lot of bumps and bruises on the way, but it's like one of those things. It's like I would call it like army. When I was in the army, you hate it when you're there, but you forget it once you're out. When you're out, so I mean, for me, the best time was shooting the movie. That's the dream. That's when I make my movie, and that's when nobody interferes, and that's when everything is perfect. and then of course, everything from raising the financing to then post production and all these issues, what comes with it, and of course. That's more like, let's just get this ball rolling so we can finish it. Absolutely. Movie making is hard.
What are the plans for It Came from the Desert when you release it? Is it going to be like on DVD, video on demand? You going to take it to festivals, or
Yeah. Actually, well, we pre-sold it before we started, filming. We pre-sold it for 15 countries, and then of course now when it's ready, the Raven Banner, who is selling it, a Canadian company, they will continue. They will continue selling it, and then then it comes to VOD. Some countries theatrically, some countries straight to Blu-ray, DVD, and so on, and it depends on the buyer basically.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on video on demand? Because that's how a lot of people watch their movies now.
That's exactly, and I do the same. Even though I have a massive Blu-ray, DVD collection, and I'm old school, I still go there and get the things. So I got my bonus materials, and I got everything, and it's special.
Yeah.
But I do love just go on and just put the TV on, put Netflix, whatever, and just watch movies. Mm-hmm. It's a million times easier.
Yeah.
So I don't have any issue. I think it's better, and but of course I understand that some movies are streamed immediately, and then when people might say, well, it wasn't even in the movie theaters. So, but that's the way it goes now. So I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to see my movies in those movies which I do care about. I will go see them in theaters if possible. I will buy the ultimate extended version if possible. And that's the thing,
Mm-hmm. I love to listen to commentary tracks on a movie I really like, and there still really is nothing like watching the movie on the big screen.
No. There's nothing replaces that. There's not, but I understand the modern ways fully, meaning, of course, it's easier to watch this there and put in from your phone or wherever. I understand that, but I'm also old school. I'd rather go to theaters to watch it, have my popcorn and enjoy, or like I said, order it from US, and which takes months to come here,
right.
Special edition, which I can't get anywhere else, and then it finally comes, and it's like a Christmas Eve. So yeah. I mean, I will always be like that, and it's like with music, with vinyl records and everything. That's what I love, but I'm not against of anything which is the streaming or even Spotify or whatever.
Yeah. We're lucky here in Boston. Annabelle and myself. Annabelle's my co-host on the show. She can't be here today, but in Boston, there's a couple theaters that show older movies. And one shows midnight movies every weekend, and it's usually like some weird, horror movie. And it's wild to go see like a movie from the 80s or the 70s up on the big screen.
Yeah, and that's actually what I miss a lot. I mean, there's also in Finland and also in Germany where I live, it's there's also these kind of midnight screenings of older classics. Like I think last time here was Predator.
Nice. I think they showed that.
You don't want to see that kind of movies in Germany because they're dubbed. So nothing is worse than the "Guck mal, was ist das da?"
So, why are you in Germany right now?
Why am I? I live here. I have 3 kids. I have a wife. My wife is German.
Oh, okay.
So it's that's the base, and then I go wherever the wind takes me, where I need to make movies and stuff.
I'm just curious, how many languages do you speak?
I speak when I'm Finnish, English, German, a little bit Swedish. Yeah, that's about it.
See, I'm used to here. Most people just speak English, so maybe Spanish. So to think of you speaking all these different languages is very cool.
I mean, no, well, thank you. I mean, you should hear my kids. I got a 8-year-old son who speaks 4 languages. So that's even better than I do. So it's kind of like whoa. But that's what happens because with my wife I speak English all the time, and then my wife speaks German to the kids. I speak Finnish to the kids, and their grandparents are from Lithuania. So they speak Lithuanian. So
that's pretty awesome.
So there you go. That's a combo. That was weird in the beginning, but now it's normal.
Yeah.
But I've seen when we are like wherever, somewhere in a restaurant or wherever, and people are watching. What the hell's going on in that table? That's just a weird bunch of people just switching languages constantly and weird.
I want to give a shout out to Vera Newhoff. That's our biggest fan in Germany, and she'll be listening to this show, and she'll be happy that we have someone from Germany.
Sehr gut.
Yeah, and she calls in once in a while, and she'll apologize for her bad English. And I always say you speak much better English than I do German. So.
But that's the thing, you know. I've had in Germany. I've had with people, you know, if they would stop just dubbing those goddamn movies, that would be it. That's the solution. That's how I learned my English. In Finland, you have subtitles, so you know, I grew up just listening what they talk, and then all of a sudden realizing that whatever they did for subtitles, then that's bullshit. The guy didn't say that. It said something else, like a translated joke or whatever. And I realized that, okay, enough of that. I'm never going to watch the subtitles again. So what I actually did early on, and I taped when I had the VHS and TV, I taped the subtitles, from the movie, so they wouldn't bother me. So I was just listening what they were saying, Michael J. Fox or whatever, in Back to the Future or whatever. So
that's pretty wild. Yeah. So. Were you, did you primarily like horror movies, or did you just like all movies when you were growing up?
I mean, I'm a sucker for horror films, but I liked all types. I mean, it's all, if the movie just touches me in some way, then whether it's an animated film, kids movie or whatever, and I've directed one kids movie, like a family movie, which was a surprise because, all of a sudden I was offered to do something like that. And it's just, basically for me is like if whatever type of movie it is, and it has heart, and it has, it's there, it's made with passion, and it's not just a product of, some sort of forced thing, then yeah, absolutely. You'll have, I'll most likely love it. So that's the thing. But there's, of course, horror films and action films, and, I love 80s stuff so much. I wonder why. I was, mostly living that time, and was sucker for influence for all that stuff. But Die Hard to Lethal Weapons and everything. I mean, I love that stuff. Like I said, Predator and Terminator and action stuff is really cool. And then horror films. I'm more always in horror. I mean, I do like Psycho and Jaws and all that stuff is great, and I love them. But then I would say more nowadays I go into the more the Gremlins vibe, because just for the fun of it, and just to kind of
yeah. For me, it depends what kind of mood I'm in. There's
absolutely, that's true.
I love the original Frankenstein, but I also love like Basket Case or something silly or something.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Whatever the mood is, because that's exactly. Sometimes I have exactly that kind of feeling. I just put all James Whale, Universal classic films on and just watch them because they're just cool. And sometimes I want to see John Carpenter stuff, Halloween or whatever. And it's all about. But I'm a big fan of Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, that's an awesome movie.
That's a great. I mean, that's just a great movie. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
And that, I think that type of films are more or less nowadays, a rarity in the sense of that it combines all sort of elements like that. It's
because you can't really pinpoint like what genre.
Exactly. And I like that. I like the idea that it's not clear. Okay, this is a horror movie, and this is an action movie, and this is a whatever. Like Big Trouble in Little China is a pile of everything, and that's perfect.
It's its own genre. It
is its own genre, and I'm very happy to see that it's getting appreciated nowadays, and it wasn't appreciated back in the '80s. But it's I think it's one of John Carpenter's best films for sure.
Yeah, it's one of my. Actually, the theater I mentioned that shows the midnight movies a couple of years ago, that was one of the midnight movies, and Annabelle and I went to see it. I've seen it before, but seeing it on the big screen was an awesome experience.
Man, I'm jealous. That's a movie what I would love and die to see. In a theater, on a big screen.
I think they have a board game of it coming out.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm already wanting to buy it.
yeah, and I think they have one for The Thing too. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes. Yeah.
I saw that.
I mean, Thing, for example, is a wonderful film. I love that movie. The robot effects and everything. Holy crap, it's amazing. But if I would have to choose from Carpenter's work, I think the one which really hits every tone for me is Big Trouble in Little China. Mm-hmm. So
it's a totally different vibe. There's not necessarily a lot of fun in The Thing. It's a pretty grim movie.
It is a grim movie, but it's still a fun movie in the sense of awesome the amazement of it.
Yeah. It really. Sometimes a movie has great effects, and maybe the movie's a little lacking, or vice versa. It's a great story, but the effects maybe aren't there. But actually, both those movies, I think, combined all that. They've got great. It's great to look at, but there's also there's great performances and so many cool characters. So there's so much there to enjoy.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And Kurt Russell, man, he Escape from New York and everything. I mean, that's just brilliant. Just brilliant.
And it's cool to see
Jack Burton is still the best role.
Yeah, and it's cool to see that now that he's older, he's kind of made I guess he's always made movies, but he's kind of made a comeback the last few years in some big movies.
That's true. Yeah. And now he's in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I enjoyed it. I liked it.
I liked the first one. I thought it was fun. It had this kind of very good spirit in it, and very just a fun. James Gunn is a funny guy, and I mean that's the thing. When you put a heart, no matter if it's a massive, Hollywood blockbuster to an indie film, which is done with no money whatsoever, as long as you got the heart there and it echoes out. I mean, then there is something there. So, and it'll find its audience for sure, and there's going to be people who will appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But then I'm kind of numb about all these superhero movies already.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think you can just enjoy even if you're not... Because I wasn't familiar with the comic at all for Guardians of the Galaxy.
I didn't know it. And I didn't... Actually, that's the thing, exactly what you said. I could watch the movie just as it is. And I didn't know nothing about the comic book. Mm-hmm. So I call that success.
Yeah, it's more, to me, over like kind of a Star Wars kind of movie. It's like action in space.
Yeah, true.
An adventure movie, I think.
Yeah, that is true.
And it was cool that he had to start with Troma, and that he even gave Lloyd a cameo in the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly, and I started with Troma as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, and that's I worked on Lloyd's Poultrygeist movie.
I'm a big fan of Poultrygeist.
Yeah, we shot it in Buffalo, New York, and then I was in the documentary stuff. And I've known him for, God knows, 15, I don't know, many years. Mm-hmm. And he was the one who actually, when everybody was saying in Finland no to me, and there was this one film director whom I mentioned earlier, the Finnish guy, who was supporting and helping that I could do something. And Lloyd then said, I met him in Finland, actually. Mm-hmm. And he gave me his book, and his first book, and which was written with James Gunn, mm-hmm. and he said, read it, and if you still are interested, let's do a movie together. so then I read it, I loved it, and then then we started doing stuff together, and I did a second unit in LA for a horror movie, which starring Zach Galligan from Gremlins. Mm-hmm. And I asked Lloyd to make a cameo in that, and he did. And he was actually supposed to be in it came from Desert 2, but the schedules didn't unfortunately match. Mm-hmm. And I owe him. I mean, I owe him already, because I've done more than one movie already, and he never had a cameo in any of them. And he's always saying to me, I'm the spoiled one because I'm not giving him anything. So I have to really redeem this. And I was hoping that it came from this. It would have been the one, but unfortunately it wasn't. Mm-hmm. But Lloyd is a great guy.
Yeah. Any dealings I've ever had with, never made a movie with him, but any dealings I've had with him have always been very positive. But I do have to ask, because we've had a lot of people on the show who have worked with Troma, and it seems like there's two camps. One, people that kind of sound like what you're saying, really had positive things to say. But we've also had a lot of people who said they would never work with Troma again. So would you say overall?
I understand that. Because it's it's a very hard, thing to do, is working on a Troma film. It's a very, very tough one. and if you survive it, you're golden. And if you're not, you're not. And the thing is that no, I mean because I've had such a long personal relationship with Lloyd, so it's a little bit different, I would say, than we've been friends for so long that it's. I mean, yeah, I fully understand. I've seen it all. I understand what the people are saying, but I'm still, my side is that, I love the guy. Yeah. I just love the guy. And by the way, It Came from Desert is co-written by Trent Haga, who also is a trauma.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He co-wrote with Lloyd one Make Your Own Damn Movie book, and he just directed a new movie, and he's done a lot.
Oh, very cool. And just quick, what's your favorite trauma movie?
My Toxic Avenger. I mean, of course. I mean, that's just. I mean, that's for me. I mean, it's so because that was also the first trauma film I ever saw, and I think that, and then I have to say another trauma film which actually isn't a trauma film, which is Trey Parker's Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie.
It's a funny movie. It's a really funny movie, and I could you could clearly see what Matt Stone and Trey Parker were. What the future? I mean, that's just genius stuff. What they are. Yeah, I mean, their voice is so clear there.
Yeah,
that, sky's the limit in that moment. But though, I mean, yeah. I was now in Cannes Film Festival this year, and their new movie, Class of Nukem High, was
the part 2.
Was premiered, and unfortunately I missed it because I had to fly out. But Lloyd was devastated. So sorry, Lloyd.
Yeah. I get to see the first part of it a couple years ago when they screened it near me in New Hampshire, and we did an interview with him. Was really cool.
I haven't seen it. I have to admit, I haven't seen it.
No, okay. No, it's very good. It's definitely like the older trauma movies of the 80s.
Yeah. I truly hope so, because they had this anarchy, this fun, just over the top vibe, which was fun. That's what made them trauma.
Exactly.
And it's cool that Lloyd is staying in the same path.
Yeah. And I thought Poltergeist was probably their best one in a long time, because I thought that was kind of a throwback to their 80s ones too.
Yeah, it actually had a lot of Trey Parker-ness in it. This musical stuff and everything, which I could clearly see, and I said it to Lloyd, that you are clearly inspired here, about what Trey and Matt does, and it's good. It's a fun movie. Yeah, we watched it actually with Lloyd in Finland, in the big screen in 35mm print in Night Visions Film Festival, and Lloyd came to Finland, and I was there with him, presenting the movie. It was fun. It was good memories. I remember I went on stage. I said a lot of stuff. What happened when you're, it's one of those, the movie Steve Martin and John Candy, the Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites.
And the classic scene when in a hotel, Steve Martin goes to the bathroom and everything is messy, and then he takes the John Candy's.
Oh right, the underwear.
Yeah, underwear. That's how it was living in a trauma shoot. That was exactly like it is.
First, when you said the bathroom, I thought you were going to say those aren't pillows seen. But,
no. Good that you really didn't go that way. But yeah, that's a funny movie.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. It
is mine too. One of the best comedies, I think.
Yeah. It's great because it's so funny, and then it's very touching at the end. You
exactly. It has a lot of heart, and it's very sweet, but it's so funny. I mean, the stuff what comes, it's so funny. And Steve Martin and John Candy are perfect for in the movie. Oh, yeah. It's just match made in heaven.
So much chemistry there.
Yeah.
So It Came from the Desert. Do you have a timeline when it'll be available?
I don't. I mean, I know already that the Japanese distributor is going to put it out very fast when the movie is done. But I don't know the exact dates. Then there's now been the festival talks, and it's actually going to be I mean, I know I can't say it. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'm not allowed to say it.
That's all right. I don't want to get in trouble or anything. But what's it like to be at a film festival and see your own movie? Have you had that experience yet?
Yeah, I had it in Toronto After Dark Film Festival with War of the Dead, and also in Finland in Night Visions and stuff like that. And it's devastating. I mean, it's nerve-wracking in the beginning. Like really, like because you have no idea what how everyone's gonna throw rotten eggs at you or how it's gonna go, and you just wish somebody would like it. And you just go in and you feel almost like I'm sorry that I'm being here, and then but it was a very wonderful crowd in Toronto. I felt much better after the screening. Of course, it splits the movie. Some hate it, some like it, whatever. But it's still this kind of being there and the audience reacting to it and actually reacting to the things you want them to react. That's a good feeling. But it's very nerve-wracking. Yeah, it's kind of. And in Finland, when I had a screening, and what the festival did to me was really nice. It was in this old big movie theater, and they had these booths up, and they gave me a booth, and they put a lot of beer there, and they just said like, just take those, and you'll be fine in the Q&A. And so I did, and the Q&A was the best I've ever had.
Yeah, remember that from now on. Just get drunk before you.
Just get drunk. Yeah. No, it's. I think it's a very smart thing to lose nerves a little bit.
Yeah.
But of course, now it'll be interesting to see how people take this movie. It came from the desert. It's very hard to say. Very hard to say how.
How people react to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how people react to it and how it's going to go. Now the teaser trailer came out, there's going to be an official trailer coming out later this year, which more stuff to be seen and more about the story and so on. Now it was more like just a appetizer. So, of course, then, hopefully you need a little get indication how the people are more, when they actually see the actual really stuff from the movie, not just montage of stuff. But let's see. It'll be interesting. But it's like I said, it's going to be nerve-wracking for me because you don't know how it's going to go. But that's why it's a good thing to get wasted, because then it doesn't matter.
Right. That's what I do before all the interviews. I just get hammered.
Huh?
That's what I do before all my interviews. I get totally hammered.
No, you sounded a little bit there off.
So how could people follow It Came from the Desert online?
Well, we have a Facebook page, which is not so active at the moment, but still there's, go Facebook and It Came from the Desert, and you'll find it. And I'm assuming when, all the buyers are getting their hands in the movie, they will have their websites and stuff put up and in individual territories and so on, and yeah, that's then out of my hands, so I can just only go and say, oh okay, cool.
How about yourself? Can people follow you online? Are you on social media?
I'm on Facebook, yeah, so please, you can always try to be my friend. So no, yeah, I don't have any website. I did have, well, maybe it's still on. I used to have, but not anymore so much. But yeah, I'm there in social media. You'll find me.
Yeah, it is weird though that everything does move to social. Obviously, we have the website, but I think most people we used to have an old school message board and it was active. Yeah. But then once Facebook started, it really kind of dies out because everyone just goes on Facebook and talks.
It is, and also this kind of when the movie was funniest production in that sense because. I have two cell phones, two different kind. My German phone and my Finnish phone, and then I have WhatsApps and all kind of things separate there and so on. And when the production was on, man, all the groups, art departments or whatever CGI or whatever departments created their groups on WhatsApps and Hangouts and Google Hangouts and all kind of things, and you're constantly your phone is buzzing for emails and WhatsApps and all sorts of things. It's like, oh, this is the modern way of handling things. It's not anymore. Let's go to a meeting. Now it's like,
Google
okay,
Hangout.
got it, okay. So it's kind of, of course, it's easier and you get faster information out. But it's kind of sort of because my first 2 films I shot on film. Well, the second one partly on film, but there was still 35 mil, and I kind of like that. I kind of miss that. I have nothing against the digital era and what comes with it, and of course, there's a lot of benefits from dailies and everything. But I do kind of miss the sound of putting the film on can and then just rolling it. And now when it's rolling, you have to be the perfect shot.
Right.
And it kind of, I do kind of like that. It was fun. Fun. And if I ever get a chance to make a movie on film again, I would definitely do it. But nobody wants me to do that, especially when you're talking about low-budget films.
Yeah, because it costs a lot just for the film.
Absolutely. It makes no sense. I understand fully of that. But if I would ever make a little bit bigger movie, and it would make sense, then yes.
So I don't want to say what's next because It Came from the Desert hasn't even been out yet, but I'm going to ask you, what's next after It Came from the Desert?
Now, that's a good question. I mean, as always, there's always a lot of projects in development in certain stages, and you never know what actually takes off. I mean, I have horror films, I got all kind of stuff which are, searching for financing or something else. But It Came from Desert is a good example of, we had another project which was kind of almost there, ready on financing, but then fell apart. And that's when I got the idea, like, okay, let's make this other movie. And then that worked out fine, and we went on and made the movie. So it's this kind of like, I actually hate that time when you're waiting, financing to get into place, and you're not sure if you're going to make it, or you'll put your heart and soul to a project which never actually gets done. It always takes a while, because I always put everything I have into a project, no matter what the stage is. So it's part of the game, but that's how it is. And yeah, I got good projects, but let's see what happens.
Excellent. Well, it's been awesome to talk to you, and I'm looking forward to It Came from the Desert.
Thanks, man. It's been a pleasure. Really pleasure.
Yeah. And when it comes out, or when you have the next project or whatever, you're always welcome back on the show.
Would love to come. I already miss our chat, because actually it was super fun. I'm thank you, man.
You're welcome. And I had a great time too, so thank you.
Hey, this is Charles Van, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.